I, 27F, need some outside perspective on a situation that's been eating away at me for months. I've been dating my boyfriend James, 31M, for a year now, and while our relationship has been mostly amazing, his female best friend Sarah, 38F, is becoming a serious problem. I want to know if I'm overreacting or if my concerns are valid. I met James at a mutual friend's birthday party last year. We hit it off immediately and started dating within a few weeks. He was everything I wanted: kind, funny, successful, and seemingly honest about everything. He told me early on that he had a close female best friend, Sarah, who was an important part of his life. I was completely fine with this, as I've always believed men and women can be just friends. When I first met Sarah at a house party she hosted, she seemed wonderful. She was welcoming, funny, and went out of her way to make me feel included in their friend group. She invited me to girls' nights, tagged me in social media posts, and even remembered my birthday with a thoughtful card. I actually thought I had lucked out with such a friendly person in my boyfriend's life. The problem started about 3 months ago. I was at James's apartment helping him clean out some old storage boxes when I found a photo album. Inside were dozens of intimate photos of him and Sarah from what looked like a romantic relationship. They were kissing in some photos, cuddled up in others, and there were even some vacation photos where they looked very much like a couple. When I asked James about it, he seemed uncomfortable but admitted that he and Sarah had dated for 2 years in college. He said they realized they were better as friends and had maintained a close friendship since then. He also mentioned that Sarah knew he had told me about their past relationship because he believes in being honest with his partners. The change in Sarah's behavior after this revelation was dramatic and immediate. She stopped inviting me to any gatherings, removed me from her social media close friends list, and began acting noticeably cold whenever we were in the same room. She would barely acknowledge my presence and would only speak to James, often about inside jokes or shared memories that obviously excluded me. What really bothers me is their constant communication. They talk on the phone for at least an hour every day, sometimes multiple times. James always steps out of the room for these calls, saying he doesn't want to be rude. They meet up for coffee or lunch at least twice a week, and Sarah seems to always have some crisis that only James can help with. Last week perfectly illustrated this problem. We were in bed watching a movie at 11 p.m. when Sarah called crying about needing to move her couch immediately because she saw a spider behind it. Instead of telling her to call an exterminator in the morning, James got dressed and went to her place. He didn't return until 2 a.m., saying they ended up having to move several pieces of furniture because Sarah was too scared to sleep knowing there might be more spiders. Their social media interaction is another issue. Sarah constantly posts photos with James on her Instagram stories, but I discovered I can't see them. I only know about these posts because James reposts them on his story. When I checked from my friend's account, I could see all of Sarah's stories featuring James, which means she deliberately hid them from me. The situation became even more bizarre when I found out that Sarah is now best friends with James' ex-girlfriend Lisa, 55F. Yes, you read that age correctly. James apparently dated Lisa for a year before me, and now she and Sarah are inseparable. They show up together at bars and restaurants that James and I frequent, even though they both live in a different city. This feels deliberate and manipulative. Last weekend was the final straw. James and I were celebrating our 1-year anniversary at our favorite restaurant. We had just ordered our main course when Sarah and Lisa walked in. Despite the restaurant being nearly empty, they chose the table right next to ours. They spent the entire evening being loudly nostalgic about past events with James, clearly trying to get his attention. James looked uncomfortable but didn't ask them to stop or suggest we leave. I've tried talking to James about setting boundaries several times. His response is always the same: Sarah is going through a difficult time after her recent divorce and needs support. He insists their friendship is purely platonic now and very important to him. But I can't shake the feeling that Sarah still has feelings for him and is actively trying to sabotage our relationship. My friends are split on this issue. Half think I'm being paranoid and should trust James, while the others say Sarah's behavior is inappropriate and James needs to establish clear boundaries. I finally reached my breaking point and blocked Sarah on all social media platforms. I told James he needs to figure out this situation because I won't continue to be disrespected like this. Sarah's response was to tell everyone that I'm a horrible, controlling person who's trying to isolate James from his friends. She's even contacted James's family, telling them I'm manipulative and toxic. James's sister called me yesterday to say I should be more understanding of Sarah and Lisa's friendship with James, suggesting that maybe I'm the problem. I don't think I'm wrong for wanting boundaries in this situation, but the number of people taking their side is making me question myself. James keeps saying I'm the most important person in his life, but his actions don't match his words. Ida for putting my foot down about this situation? Update 1 first, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. The support and different perspectives really helped me see things more clearly. A lot has happened in the past 2 weeks, and I feel I need to share this update with you all. After reading all the comments suggesting I have a serious talk with James, I decided to confront the situation head-on. Last Sunday, I went to his apartment with screenshots of my post and some of the most insightful comments. I thought showing him how others perceived the situation might help him understand my perspective better. Initially, the conversation went well. James read through everything and seemed genuinely concerned about how his relationship with Sarah was affecting me. He admitted that maybe some boundaries needed to be set and promised to talk to Sarah about her behavior. We spent almost 2 hours discussing what healthy boundaries would look like: less frequent phone calls, no more late-night emergency visits, and more transparency about their interactions. Just as we were wrapping up our discussion, someone started banging on his door. It was Sarah, clearly drunk and extremely emotional. She pushed past me into the apartment, mascara running down her face, demanding to know why James wasn't answering her calls. She had apparently been trying to reach him during our conversation. What happened next felt like a scene from a bad movie. Sarah started crying, saying I was trying to destroy years of friendship. Then, in her drunken state, she let something slip that changed everything. She looked at James and said, "I won't let her ruin what we have. Tell her about last week, tell her about all the weeks." James's face went completely white. Sarah started laughing through her tears and turned to me. That's when she dropped the bomb. She and James had been sleeping together throughout my entire relationship with him. All those emergency calls, coffee meetings, and lunch dates were just excuses to meet up. When I looked at James, he didn't even try to deny it. Instead, he started explaining how it wasn't what I thought. According to him, he and Sarah had this physical arrangement for years, even before he met me. He tried to convince me that it wasn't serious, that he had real feelings for me, and Sarah was just a habit he hadn't broken. Sarah seemed to enjoy watching my world crumble. She sat on his couch, still slightly drunk, and started sharing details I never wanted to know. She told me about how they would meet up after our dates, how they laughed about me believing their friendship was platonic, and how some of their friends thought it was entertaining watching me be so clueless. I asked about Lisa, thinking at least that part had been true. Sarah actually laughed out loud. Lisa was just their cover story. Whenever they needed to meet up, they would say they were hanging out with Lisa. The 55-year-old ex-girlfriend didn't even exist. The woman I'd seen with Sarah at restaurants was just her friend playing a role to make their story more believable. I felt physically sick. Every memory of the past year suddenly had a new, twisted meaning. All those times James stepped out to take Sarah's calls, all those emergencies that needed his immediate attention, even our anniversary dinner interruption, it was all planned. I started packing up the few things I had at his apartment. James kept trying to stop me, saying he could explain everything better when Sarah wasn't there. He promised he could cut her off completely, that he would prove his love for me was real. But how could I believe anything he said anymore? As I was leaving, Sarah followed me to my car. She wasn't crying anymore. Instead, she had this satisfied smirk on her face. She told me I should have known James would never fully commit to someone like me when he had her. She said they had a special connection that no one could understand, and I was just a convenient distraction while she finalized her divorce. The past few days have been a blur. James hasn't stopped calling and texting from different numbers since I blocked his main one. He keeps saying Sarah was drunk and exaggerated things, that their relationship isn't what she made it seem. Sarah, meanwhile, has been posting subtle digs at me on social media, making it seem like I was the one who tried to come between them. Some of our mutual friends have reached out, claiming they wanted to tell me but didn't know how. Others are defending James and Sarah, saying their arrangement wasn't my business since it predated our relationship. A few even suggested that I should have known what I was getting into, given how close James and Sarah were. I'm staying at my sister's place right now, trying to process everything. Every time I think about the last year, I discover new lies and moments that should have been red flags. James is still trying to contact me through mutual friends, asking for a chance to explain his side of the story. But what explanation could possibly justify a year of lying and cheating? I know this update might disappoint those who suggested working things out with James, but I never imagined things would turn out like this. I feel like such a fool for not seeing what was right in front of me all along. Update 2: The situation has gotten even worse since my last update. After I moved out and blocked James on everything, I thought I could start healing, but more revelations kept coming. Last week, one of James's co-workers reached out to me. She had been feeling guilty about keeping quiet and decided I deserved to know the whole truth. She sent me screenshots of conversations between James and Sarah spanning our entire relationship. The messages were eye-opening and sickening. There were hundreds of messages planning their meetups, complete with elaborate cover stories to tell me. They joked about how gullible I was, with Sarah often mocking my trust in James. There were messages from nights I thought James was working late or helping friends move, when he was actually with her. Even worse, there were messages from our special occasions, my birthday, Valentine's Day, and even the night he met my parents, where they were planning to meet up after. The screenshots also showed that Sarah had been regularly sending James inappropriate photos throughout our relationship. They had a shared album where they kept intimate photos from their encounters during the past year. Some of these were taken in his apartment on days I had just left. When I confronted James about these messages, he finally broke down and told me everything. He and Sarah had been together for 5 years before I came into the picture. They kept their relationship casual because Sarah was married at the time. Her recent divorce wasn't because of her ex-husband's issues as James had claimed, it was because her husband discovered her long-term affair with James. Sarah's entire struggling after divorce act was fake. She had been planning to leave her husband for James all along, but they needed to keep up appearances until the divorce was finalized. I was just their cover story, a way to make Sarah's husband believe she and James weren't involved anymore. The friend group I thought was ours was actually all Sarah's friends. They had known about the affair for years and were helping cover it up. All those times they invited me out or acted friendly, they were just playing along with James and Sarah's charade. Some even helped create alibis for their meetups. Sarah has now moved in with James, and they've made their relationship public. They're spinning this narrative about how they've always been in love but timing was never right. James's family, who I thought were sympathetic to me, are now celebrating their relationship. His sister even posted on Facebook about how happy she is that James finally got together with the love of his life. Most of our mutual friends have taken their side. They're saying I should have seen the signs, that James and Sarah's connection was obvious to everyone. Some suggested that I was naive to think I could come between a relationship like theirs. Apparently, everyone in their circle knew about their history except me. The worst part is how they're rewriting history. On social media, they're posting old photos of them together, including some from the time we were dating, acting like they were just waiting to be together openly. Sarah posted a long statement about how true love finds its way, conveniently leaving out the part about cheating on her husband and deceiving me for a year. I ran into them at a cafe yesterday. They were sitting at what used to be mine and James's regular spot. Sarah was wearing his favorite sweatshirt, the one I used to wear when I stayed over. They looked so comfortable together, like they'd been a public couple for years. When they saw me, Sarah actually had the nerve to wave and smile, as if she hadn't helped destroy my life. James tried to talk to me in the parking lot. He said he never meant to hurt me, that he and Sarah just couldn't fight their connection anymore. He actually suggested we could all be friends eventually, once I got over my hurt feelings. I got in my car and drove away without saying a word. I keep discovering new lies. Even small things I trusted were fake. The weekend trips James took for work? He was with Sarah. The family emergencies that made him miss my friend's wedding? He was with Sarah. The late-night gym sessions? Sarah again. Our entire relationship was built on lies, and everyone around me knew except me. I feel like I lived in some alternate reality for a year while everyone else watched and laughed. Update 3. It's been 6 months since everything happened, and I'm finally ready to share this last update. A lot has changed since my last post, and I think this will be my final update as I've started a new chapter in my life. I moved to a different city 3 months ago. Staying in the same town became unbearable, especially after James and Sarah got engaged last month. They're all over social media, portraying their relationship as some epic love story that overcame all obstacles. Sarah even had a photo shoot titled "When Friendship Turns to Forever Love," completely erasing the fact that they cheated and lied for years. 2 weeks ago, I received an unexpected message from Sarah's ex-husband, Mark. He found me through mutual connections and wanted to talk. We met for coffee, and he shared his side of the story. Apparently, James and Sarah had been doing this for years, dating other people as covers while maintaining their relationship. Mark told me about the 3 other women before me who had unknowingly played the role I did. Each time, the pattern was the same. James would date someone new, Sarah would pretend to be the supportive best friend, and they'd continue their relationship in secret. When Sarah's divorce was finalized or when they got bored, they'd reveal everything and move on to their next victim. Mark apologized for not warning me when he had the chance. He had seen me with James at a restaurant once and recognized the situation, but he was still too angry and hurt to get involved. He shared screenshots of conversations between Sarah and her friends from when she was still married, joking about their various cover relationships and how long they would keep up each charade. The engagement announcement was particularly hard to stomach. They did a huge social media reveal, complete with professional photos, and a long post about how they were finally ready to stop pretending to be just friends. James's family flooded the comments with messages about how they always knew Sarah was the one for him. These are the same people who used to tell me how happy they were that James had found someone like me. I've cut off everyone who knew about their affair and didn't warn me. This includes several people I considered close friends. One of them reached out recently to apologize, saying she felt guilty for participating in their deception. She revealed that they used to have group chats where they coordinated their stories to help James and Sarah maintain their lies. The hardest part has been rebuilding my ability to trust. Every time I think about going on a date or meeting someone new, I remember how easily I was fooled. How an entire group of people could look me in the eye and lie for months. The thought that there might be another Sarah in someone else's life, pretending to be just a friend while secretly waiting for their chance, makes me hesitant to open up. But I'm focusing on myself now. I got a great job offer in my new city, joined some hobby groups, and am slowly building a new circle of friends, people who have no connection to my past life. Sometimes I still get angry thinking about how they fooled me, but those moments are becoming less frequent. James still tries to reach out occasionally through new numbers or mutual acquaintances. His latest message was asking me to forgive and forget because he doesn't want any negativity around their wedding. I blocked each new number without responding. This will be my final update. Their story continues, but I'm no longer part of it. I've learned my lessons, painful as they were, and I'm ready to close this chapter of my life completely.